So today I'd like to talk to you about watercolor grounds from Daniel Smith. They have a total of 6 in their range, and I've got pearlescent white, transparent, Mars black, titanium white and iridescent gold. Now I don't have buff titanium with me because I couldn't find a use for it myself. But yeah, these grounds let you paint on multiple surfaces like wood, MDF, cardboard, glass, ceramic, and of course that's the major reason for developing these grounds, to let you paint watercolors on multiple surfaces and not just be restricted to paper. But of course you can use these on paper to add another dimension to your paintings. Now I'd like to show you some examples where I've used watercolor ground. Over here I've used Mars black ground on top of a regular 100% cotton paper that was ruined due to a bad painting day, and as you can see, I've painted on top of it using iridescent colors. Another example is over here where I've used titanium white ground quite thickly and transparent watercolor ground to stick up some musical notes. As you can see, it lets you paint on top of these musical notes and normal regular paper. Now this is printed on a regular printer paper, so it's not waterproof, but laying it covering it with the layer of transparent watercolor grounds lets you see the surface of the musical notes and paint on top of it without ruining the printer paper. Over here I've used some real hydrangea petals, stuck up on my painting and sealed them with transparent watercolor ground. So if in the future these discolor, which it shouldn't because these grounds are archival, so if it does, I can go paint on top of them and make sure the color matches. Over here, this painting is painted on a piece of cardboard that was gessoed. Now this cardboard is the back of your watercolor block. Yeah, real stingy there. I've covered it with titanium white ground and painted on top of it using watercolors and inks, and I've even used crackle medium over here. Another example of painting on top of cardboard. As you can see, not winning any cake icing competitions over here, but I've used a scrunched up piece of tissue paper stuck up on the cardboard using transparent watercolor ground, and again laid another layer of transparent watercolor ground on top of it so I can paint using watercolors. Not coming off, and even the tissue paper is quite sturdy now, so it makes it easier to paint. On to the demo. I've got a piece of cardboard that I've pre-gessoed, and this is a tea stained printer paper that I've got some musical notes on. Now what I'm going to do is layer a coat of transparent watercolor ground, stick this paper on top of it and put another layer of transparent ground on it and let it cure for 2 or 3 days. Now the box says that you need to let it cure for 24 hours, but depending on the weather or where you're staying, I like to be on the safer side. Okay, now I'm just gonna spray some water, just a spritz, not much. It just makes laying the ground pretty easy. The consistency of the ground is pretty creamy, so it's not very difficult to lay it. It moves pretty easily. You can, depending on the texture that you want, you can either use a hog brush, a foam brush, or if you want a soft smooth texture like me, you can use a soft synthetic brush, but no, never your natural hair brush. Don't go and ruin them. Also, if you wanted, you could paint, let this layer dry, paint on it, and if you're using the transparent paper to stick on top of it, the layer of your paint that you've used would show as an underpainting. Now, what I'm gonna do is put another layer of transparent ground on top of it. And that's it. Now, I do like the wrinkles that are happening over here. I didn't want the paper to be completely flat because it was tea stained, and I let it be. And this might look translucent or milky right now, but be assured it's gonna dry completely transparent, and then you can come back and paint on top of it. I'm gonna let it be for I think 3 or 4 days, and meanwhile think of a subject that I want to go on top of it. I'll trim off the edges, clean it up a bit, and yeah, that's it. Simple.